Hello, welcome to AleaSoft webinar. My name is Alejandro Delgado. I'm Associate Partner of AleaSoft, and thank you for joining us today to the webinar with the topic Turning Point, from the 5-year period of photovoltaic energy to the 5-year period of batteries. Today is a special occasion for us, as we are celebrating our webinar number 50, also coinciding with the 5th anniversary of our monthly webinars. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our speaker for all these sessions, Oriol Salto, for sharing his knowledge and making each webinar a remarkable and insightful experience. Today, Oriol will analyze several topics like the evolution of the European energy markets, a summary of the 5-year period that is coming to an end and the prospects for the next 5 years, and some strategic vectors like renewable energies, batteries, demand, green hydrogen, and other renewable fuels. If you have any questions at any time during the webinar, please use the Q&A menu and we will answer them after the presentation. And now, I hope you enjoy the webinar. Oriol, you're going to start now.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Alejandro. As Alejandro mentioned, we are in a kind of a celebration today. We are celebrating 50 webinars, 5 years from the first webinar on December 2019. And okay, it's going to be, we are going to do the usual review of the energy markets in the last weeks. We will be comparing with what we saw in our last webinar. It was 4 weeks ago. And then we'll talk about the 5 years that we are ending now, the period of 5 years that we are ending now since 2020, and what we can expect for the next 5 years. Hopefully, we will have some time for questions at the end. It's something that usually we don't have time, but I hope we will have some time. So if the second part is going to be quite short. We will not go into detail in most of the aspects because we have already talked about most of them in our past webinars. So you can always reference to our past webinars when we go more insightful in each of the aspects. But if you have something that you want us to talk about specifically, you can put it in the Q&A section, and we will have the chance to talk about it at the end. So as usual, I will start with a brief introduction of the AleaSoft, the company, the services that we offer. In case that you don't know us, we provide forecasting services for the energy markets. We cover all the energy markets in Europe, also some markets in the Middle East, some in America, North America, South America. And we have data and we are ready to provide services for a lot of energy markets at the global level. The forecasting methodology that we used, it's a forecasting methodology developed by ourselves, by AleaSoft, specifically for forecasting in the energy sector. And the 3 main points that we always like to stress about this methodology is that it is a completely scientifically based methodology. It's a hybrid model combining classical statistical techniques like regression, time series analysis, econometrics models, market simulation, etc., combined with more advanced techniques, statistical techniques like from the artificial intelligence, so machine learning algorithms, recurrent neural networks, and all this hybridization of methodologies. We can pick the strong points of each of this methodology and get a robust and consistent forecast. The stability and the coherency of the forecast over time, it's one of the aspects that our clients appreciate the most. With some of our clients, we are having a relation for 25 years. This year, we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the company. And well, this is the methodology that we have been using for 25 years now, starting in the Iberian electricity markets, now covering all the energy markets in Europe and around the world, as I already showed. So to make it easier to explain all the services that we provide a lot of services related with the energy markets. We divided our services under 6 divisions. So it's easier to explain. Under Alea Green, we provide all the services for the long-term forecasting for prices, demand, renewable production, etc. Under Alea Blue, we provide all the services at the short and the medium term, so forecast for the day ahead or hours ahead for demand, prices, production, etc. And the midterm, up to 2-5 years, depending. Under Alea Hub, we have two marketplaces, one marketplace for PPA, so off-takers looking for projects and projects looking for off-takers, and also a marketplace for renewable assets, for renewable projects. So buyers looking for projects to buy, and builders and investors looking to sell a project. Under Alea Storage, where we grouped all the services for batteries and storage. We provide revenue forecasting at the long term for batteries, for standalone projects, or batteries inside or co-located with a renewable power plant, being wind, solar, or both. Under Alea White, all the services that we provide on reports on the energy markets. We publish reports regularly each week in our webinar, also in some media, also publish our reports and anything related with. We also do this monthly webinar series, and under Alea Consulting, anything related with strategic consulting, law reports, reports on specific questions regarding a decision that have to be taken. And with all these services, we provide services for all the players in the energy sector. We have clients on the producer side, on the consumer side, on operators, on traders, investors. So basically, any player in the energy sector at some point will need one of our services. Okay, so let's go to see what the energy markets did in last week. So we always start with the oil prices, and basically in the last weeks, what we have seen is basically a reduction of the volatility. So prices right now are quite stable, around $70-$75 per barrel, which is quite surprising because given all the geopolitical situation in the Middle East mainly, we could expect more volatility and more uncertainty. But it looks like the oil market has basically already priced in anything that can happen at that geopolitical level. So basically here, what we are seeing is that there is enough, or the market looks like there is enough demand for enough supply for the demand that is expected. We have been saying in last webinars how the demand is not growing as expected, and on the other side, the supply keeps growing, mainly from the non-OPEC countries in America. Basically, the production is increasing there, and on the OPEC on the OPEC countries, they have been delaying the reversal of the production cuts that they have in place. They have been delaying it several times, and now on the 5th of December, they delayed it again. It was expected to start increasing production on January 1st. Now they delayed it again now until April 1st. So basically, seeing that there is no room for more oil in the market. So basically, the situation is that the market it's well supplied. So basically, not much uncertainty can go into the prices. So basically, what we have seen reduced volatility. A different thing are the gas prices. Basically, what we have been seeing in the last webinars, it's basically increasing prices. We are already above the 40 euros megawatt hour. That was kind of the ceiling that we were seeing for some time. It has clearly exceeded these prices, and now, right now, we are approaching the 50 euros megawatt hour barrier. So since February, the prices have more than doubled. So basically, why? Well, the reasons that we were saying in our last webinar remain. So for the midterm, so for the rest of the winter, the next summer, and the next winter, basically what we are seeing is that gas reserves are decreasing faster than what the market would like, while the demand is increasing. So everything, obviously, both things are related. But basically, we have enough gas. LNG flows through Europe are quite stable now. They have increased a little bit, but still in the midterm, we are seeing these tensions with lower reserves than what the market would like, and higher demand because we are having colder temperatures this winter in Europe. And also we in November we had very low wind. So low wind means less renewable energy in the in the mix, means more gas. So more gas that need to be burned in order to produce electricity. So basically, in the midterm, we are still seeing this upward trend. In the short term, as you've seen in the last days, prices have been decreasing a little bit. This is because, as I mentioned, the inflows of LNG have increased in Europe. So also the fears that the remaining gas coming from Russia through Ukraine are the fears that this flow from of gas from Ukraine could be suspended or disrupted abruptly due to recent developments. It looks like we will still have this gas at least from this until December 31st, sorry, where when the contract finishes, and probably after that there will be no more gas from Russia. And in the recent days, temperatures have been a little bit warmer, so the forecasts are less extreme right now. So this is why in the last days we have seen this decrease in prices. But anyway, in the short term, in the medium term, the picture remains more or less the same. So looking for relatively high prices during this winter, high prices during the summer, depending on how the reserves end up, because we have to refill them for the next winter, and probably next winter prices could also be higher. As I were mentioning, these are the reserve levels in the countries of the European Union. They are at 81.5%. If you look the range of the last 5 years, more than 5 years, they are not extremely bad. I mean, they are within the range I would say on the higher side. So no fears of risk of supply looks. But if we compare it with last year, by that time last year we were close to 91%, so it's nearly more than 2 points below. And to find these levels last year, we have to go until mid-January, so more than 4 weeks, more than a month. We are more than a month earlier on the level of reserves compared with last year. And as I was mentioning, the fear is where we will end up, because if we put this we put these 9 points here at the end compared to the last week, we are going to be below 50%. And it's kind of a psychological number. Below 50%, it will make the refilling more expensive that it was last year. And the other factor were the increase in demand. As I was mentioning, the increase in demand in November was quite large, 13% increase compared to the November last year. The main contribution to this increase was the increase in the gas used for electricity production. As I mentioned, cold temperatures, low wind means a lot of more electricity needed, and it needs to be produced with gas. And then some contribution from residential, the industry that is recovering their demand, and then residential and commercial due to as I mentioned, due to the cold temperatures. If we go to the CO2 markets, a little bit more boring, because we are still within that low trend low trend channel. We are on the higher side, basically because we are still slightly correlated with gas prices. So gas prices increasing, CO2 prices has also increased a little bit during last weeks, but still we are in this midterm downwards trend. At some point, we know that this trend has to change. Next year, from 2025, the supply of allowances is going to be reduced because this is how the market works. We will have less allowances each year. So, and now some analysts see that maybe not in 2025, but 2026, 2027, allowances are going to, the supply is going to be maybe not enough for the expected demand of allowances. So probably during 2025 we are going to see this change in trend and resuming the upwards trend, the historical upwards trend of the market, and the upwards trend that we expect at the long term. So maybe we are also at the turning point for this market. Probably it's not going to be right now, but at some point in the near future, we are going to see this. Change in trend. Okay. Now let's take a look at the electricity markets. I always take this opportunity to show you our online database. This is a service that we offer to our clients. It's an online database with all the data related with energy markets all around the world. So any variable needed or related to energy markets, it's going to be here. We are including new observatories, new variables every day. So this database is growing. So basically, you have all the variables for all the most important electricity markets. You have also macroeconomic data, futures data, commodities, fuels, basically anything that you should need at any point, and you can subscribe only to the observatories that you need. So it's very, in this sense, it's kind of a very customizable. Okay, so here what we are seeing are the monthly average prices from some of the main electricity markets in Europe. The last full month of data that we have is November. So in November we basically saw an increase in prices, basically because we had colder temperatures, so more demand. We had low wind, as I already mentioned. We saw in our last webinar that Dunkelflote event with very high prices due to very low wind and very high demand. Also, solar energy is decreasing because there's the seasonal behavior, and we are having higher gas prices. So basically everything combined, we are having higher electricity prices. On average, 34% increase in November compared to October. The market that increased the most, France, 62% up, Spain, 52% up. And then on the other side, we have Italy, that it increased just by 12%. Again, Italy, it's still the market with the highest prices, and France, although prices have been increasing a lot, is still the market with the lowest price. But as you can see, all of the electricity markets had average monthly prices above 100 euros megawatt. Also UK, because here the prices are in pounds, so the 97 pounds are more than 100 euros. So very, very high prices on average, 1 month higher than 100. We have to go back quite a little bit to find this kind of prices, more than 1 year. Okay, now if we make a zoom on the last days, these are the the daily average prices since October. So basically we can see this upward trend. So prices have been increasing. Dunkelflut.
Uriel, we lost you
Yep.
there for a second.
Okay, I'm back now. Okay.
Yeah. I hear
Okay.
you.
So yeah, it was mentioned that basically this increase in prices it's just following the increase in gas prices, and we already showed that this event on the November 6th in our last webinar. We showed how the relation with very low prices, very high prices with very low wind production, and what we are seeing right now with very high prices, it's more or less the same. It's the same. Let's say the same kind of event. If we go to the hourly prices, we see how in the last 2 days prices have been increasing a lot, mainly in Germany, and then all the rest of the countries that are interconnected to Germany also feeling this price increase. And we can see how the wind energy production in Germany is it's one of the main factors on these high energy prices. Here at the beginning of November, 6th of November, 7th of November are the other high prices event that we have just saw, and now we are again in a situation with very low wind. This is the onshore wind, and basically the same for offshore wind. And we can compare the evolution of electricity prices in Spain that are in blue. Those are daily averages since the beginning of October, with gas prices that are in red. So basically, you can see that the general trend is both prices going up. And we can also see how the low prices, the days with low prices that we have seen in Spain, basically in blue here, are highly correlated with days with very high wind. So within that general upwards trend, we are seeing days with very low prices, highly correlated with days with a lot of wind energy. Okay, going back now to my slides, and we will see now what the futures market are telling us. So what are the market agents seeing right now for what are they paying right now for the electricity that is going to be delivered into the future? And we start with the oil forward curve, and we are comparing it with the curve that we saw 4 weeks ago in our last webinar. Basically, as we have seen, spot prices have been basically decreasing volatility, stabilizing, so basically no changes, and we see no changes in the forward curve, just a slightly decrease at the very end of the curve, 1.6% down. Different picture for gases. For gas prices, the gas futures have been increasing in the midterm. Basically, no large changes. Sorry, beyond 2027, but important changes in the midterm. So for next summer, prices up 3%. Next winter, also close to 3%. Next summer, 3%. So basically, until the summer of 2026, a general base increase of around 3%. Basically, following the same trend that we saw in our last webinar, where prices were increasing in the midterm. Basically, for what we have just said. Lowering so with lower gas reserve, we are expecting the refilling period during the summer to be more expensive, and basically that would also mean then a higher, also an expensive winter afterwards, and basically propagating also some of this increase to the next summer. Okay. And if you remember, we showed the spread, the summer-winter spread, so the spread between July 2025 and January 2026, so summer, next summer, and next winter. And we saw in our last webinar how the spread sign changed. So now the summer is more expensive than the winter, something that it's not the usual behavior. And we see how we have basically stayed there. So everything increased, but they increased more or less by the same rate, around 3%. And for the CO2 forward curve, basically no changes. Spot prices increased a little bit in the last days, so we see a slight increase in the forward curve, but basically no changes. And the forward curves for electricity, basically following the increase in gas futures. So 2.5 increase for Italy, 1.6 for Germany, 1% for Spain. The only market that that went the other way around, France, with lowering futures nearly 5%. So a little bit erratic France in this sense. And to finish this first part, basically remarking the points that we are taking into account now when making forecast, also kind of a summary of what we have just said. Oil prices now relatively stable. Basically OPEC plus delayed again their increase in production. Most of the analysts say that they will further delay it, and some of the analysis basically saw no increase in production from OPEC during the whole 2025. On the other side, non-OPEC prices are still increasing production, so basically no risk of supply. The market is seeing no risk of supply for next year, so basically very stable prices. Gas prices on the other side, reflecting the decrease in the reserve levels, the increase in demand. So basically forecasting a slightly more difficult refilling period during the summer, so higher prices for the summer also. CO2 prices, basically stable within that pessimistic trend that we have seen during the last month, but we know that at some point, maybe 2025, maybe 2026, we are going to see a change in the trend. And electricity prices following gas prices. So basically, as gas prices have been increasing, also electricity markets have been increasing, and with those special periods where with very low wind and cold temperatures and high demand, we have peak prices. So basically, this is a situation when basically, and yeah, the last 2 points are the same that I always mention, and we are going to take a slightly deeper look in the second part of the webinar, but we are going to have a little look at what the last years have been and what are the situation in we are right now, what we can expect for the next 5 years, 10 years. So we basically used this title of turning point from the photovoltaic revolution to the battery revolution because we saw these two main elements as the main elements from the last 5 years and the main element from the next year. But there are, as always, not just one factor, not just one vector that it's impacting the energy markets in general. There are a lot of them, but we think that, or we thought that using those two are kind of the most important, or the ones that are more kind of a selling point. But as I mentioned, not just one factor. If we look at where we are right now, where we were some years ago, what these last 5-10 years have been defined by. On the first, not the main point, but the first point, I would mention demand. Electricity demand have been decreasing during the last 5 years, and in general, the general trend is kind of flat. Since the financial crisis in 2008, prices have been in a general decrease for most of the European markets. Basically, they started recovering at some point in 2014, 2015, but after the COVID crisis and with the prices the crisis with the energy prices, demand have been decreasing clearly for most of the markets. In 2024, some of the markets have started recovering, but for the last years, the general trend have been stagnation or even decrease. And this obviously it's impacting the markets because less demand means that if there is enough supply, well, prices go down, and this has an impact on the return and investments in new production plants. So we have the decrease in demand one point, and the next point are the revolution, what we call the revolution of the renewable energies. Yeah, we will see the most spectacular increase have been in solar photovoltaics. So in the last years, we see how this increase in installed photovoltaic capacity has been increasing exponentially in some of the cases. Germany historically always installing a lot of solar capacity, but increased the rates in the last years. Italy also increasing the range. Maybe the most spectacular change have been in Spain, where after years and decades of stagnation, since 2019, installed capacity is increasing, and from 5 gigawatts now we are close to 30 gigawatts. So a spectacular increase. But as you can see, all the countries are increasing installed capacity of solar photovoltaics. And the other main renewable energy is wind energy. Maybe it's not so spectacular in the last years, but again, we are in an upward trend in a rapid increase of installed capacity. So all the renewables, mainly wind and solar, seeing an increase, and that's why we use this main point of renewable energies to describe the last years, because is what is I would say the most spectacular. But combination of more renewable energy and less demand are bringing some inconvenience, some problems to the energy markets. One of it is obviously lower prices. So these are the number of hours per year with low prices. We set the threshold at 5 euros megawatt hour to put it somewhere. So 5 euros megawatt is low enough. So we see that the low prices, it's not something uncommon in some of the markets. Historically, Germany have had some hours with very low prices, but it's nothing new in Spain also. But in recent years, mainly this year and 2023, we saw an important increase in this hour. So basically, having a lot of renewable energy, and in the case of the solar photovoltaics, a lot of renewable of energy concentrated in the central hours of the day. This means that all of this increase it's put in the same hours. So basically, you have there some kind of remarkable cannibalization of prices, and the number of hours with very low prices increases. Here we have the outlier of 2020. We know that it was related with the COVID crisis. But we can be even more strict and go directly to negative zero or negative hours, negative price hours with negative prices. Again, it's not anything new in Spain, neither in France, neither in Germany. So basically, most of the markets have had zero or negative prices in the past, but the increase in mainly in this year, it's something that is clearly seen. And basically, this is now that we have to look at the next 5 years. what are the things that we need to do, or what are the things that the sector realized that we need to kind of push for, that we need to accelerate, because we have been focusing a lot on increasing the installed capacity of renewable energies, and maybe we have forgotten some other vectors that are also important. So using this change in 5-year periods, maybe well, we think it's a turning point that it's going to we are going to leave this change in this change in which are in priorities. So we expect renewable energies to keep increasing, but maybe we are also going to focus more in some of the other aspects, because sorry, to have successful energy transitions, we need renewable energies for decarbonization. If our main goal is to decarbonize the economy, obviously we need to have energy that it's not emitting energy. So we need a lot of renewable energies. But on the other side, we need the demand also for this energy, because we want to decarbonize the industry. We will need also green fuels like green hydrogens or green ammonia, or basically anything that is going to increase the demand for renewable energies. So we basically need the demand to increase at a coherent rate, I would say, of the renewable of the renewable energies, and this is what what we have not seen in this last year. So basically, the renewables have been increasing a lot, while the demand has basically going on the other way. So we need both to go in the same direction. So the increase in demand is going to be one of the focusing points for the next years. Also, in order to manage this renewable energy with the demand, we need a way to store energy. So we need batteries, we need long-term storage, and batteries mainly, we think it is going to be one of the main points in this next 5 years. That's why we put the batteries in contraposition of the revolution of the photovoltaics. Now we think that these next 5 years are going to be the revolution of the batteries. And also we need an electricity grid capable to manage all this demand and renewable energies. The increasing the capacity of the interconnection within the different countries is also going to be a key point. So there are a lot of vectors needed for this energy transition, and we need all of them to work at the expected rate. And we think these next years we are going to need batteries and demand mainly in order to fix, let's say, all the problems that we are starting to see right now due to having a lot of renewable energy while we don't have storage to manage it, while we don't have demand to basically use this energy. And if we look at the national climate plans of all the countries in Europe, we see that one of the main selling points again is the increase in installed capacity. In Spain, if you remember, we are around 30 gigawatts of solar, 30 gigawatts of wind, and we are still having to more than double that in order to reach to reach the targets that we have for 2030 in the national climate plans, energy and climate plans. But well, at the end, targets in national plans are important. They have to be ambitious if we want to be ambitious in the energy transition. So they show us where we want to go, what's the direction that we want to go, and then maybe we will reach them, maybe we will not reach them. But even if we just going in that direction, I think it's a winning situation for the future. So so basically, at the end, the market, the demand, the working together of all the vectors are going to say how much renewable energy we need. So we know that we want to have a lot of renewable energies. Let's work on the other vectors in order to have as much renewable energy for focusing on the final goal, that it's decarbonizing and having basically zero emissions. Also, all the all the national energy and climate plans talk about batteries, talk about energy storage. Here you have the the example of the Spain and Portugal plants, that basically all the plants in all the countries talk about batteries. Some of them has very clear targets. Others just mention them as a needed feature in the energy system. But I would say all the countries are aware that they are going to need batteries in the system, and that in the next 5 years are going to be critical in order to increase the amount of installed capacity for batteries in the system. In the case of Spain, right now we have around 7 megawatts just installed capacity for batteries, but already there are more than 10 gigawatts with already granted permits to connect to the electricity grids, and more than 8 gigawatts that are pending to have permission for access and connection. So basically, altogether more than 19 gigawatts. While, if you remember, the target was in the national plan was slightly more than 9 gigawatts. So let's say, as it happened with the solar energy, where in the first we are already beyond the target for 2030 that we had in the first version of the plan. So now in the second version we increase it. Maybe something like that can happen with the batteries capacity. Maybe in the next revision we will have to increase a lot, because we will be already too close to that target. Let's see. At least everything points out that we are going in the good direction, and that one of the key points for the next year, that are the batteries, are in the focus of most of the players in the energy sector. And well, batteries can work, as you know, as a standalone installations, basically consuming energy from the grid when there is an excess of production, and then injecting it back when there is a needed for or an increase in demand or a need for more supply. But batteries also are going to play a key role with the new renewable energy installations, basically because as we have seen, a lot of energy put in the system basically means cannibalization of energy prices. So having a way to manage this intermittent energy, being it solar or wind, having a way to manage it, it's going to make the installation more profitable, because we can really put the energy in the system when it's really needed. So we will avoid prices going down far, and we will also take advantage with higher prices. So basically, batteries, aside from being important for the energy system and for the transition, are also going to be a key point for the new power plants. So it's going to be so starting next year, it's going to be strange to see a new PV project, the new wind projects, without some storage within the power plant. So the same power plant being able to manage how much energy it puts into the grid at each moment. But also, as a key point, as it happened with the photovoltaic energy 5 years ago, a key point of all the revolution of the batteries to take place, a key point we think the price, is the cost of the batteries. We have seen how the cost of solar panels have been decreasing a lot in recent years, and that we think it's one of the main points that make the solar photovoltaic revolution possible. Also, we are seeing the same kind of decrease in cost of the batteries in recent years, and we think this is going to be one of the key points also on making these next 5 years the years of the battery revolution, because they are needed in the system and because they will be affordable, and and the projects will have enough return. So after several years of basically no decrease in prices, nearly everybody thought that we were already at the bottom of how cheap a battery can be. But this year, 2024, we have seen the largest decrease in several years. So altogether, in 10 years, nearly 86% decrease in the battery cost. So yeah, basically, those are the key points why we think these next 5 years are going to be the years for the battery. Obviously, we are not forgetting about increasing renewable energy capacity, increasing demand, very important, improving the energy grid, improving interconnections, and making a larger interconnection capacity. But we kind of chose the batteries to being the to being the key vector in the next 5 years, because they are going really to play a key role in energy market prices, and also in the returns for new investments in renewable production capacity. So that's basically it. I always finish inviting you to our next webinar. This time, let me invite you to the next webinar that we are going to have today. It's going to be at noon. It's going to be in Spanish, but if you have the chance, we're having a very interesting conversation with top experts on the energy sector in Spain and at the European level. Invited the speakers from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, and EY. So in 1 hour, we are going to talk about what the last 5 years has been, what we expect for next year. We're talking about markets, regulation, financing, PPAs. So very, very interesting. If you have the chance, you still are in time, and it's going to be in 1 hour, in more or less 1 hour. So if you have the chance, very interesting. And if not, we can see all together in January again. It will be the first webinar of the next year. And as every January, for the last 4 Januaries, we will be having PricewaterhouseCoopers invited speakers talking about regulation, the demand from the industry, PPAs, as always, very, very interesting. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you very much for your really great presentation, as most of your presentations are. And thank you again for sharing your insights with us for these 50 webinars now. So we will start now the Q&A section of the webinar. It's really rare that we have some time to answer your questions, but
yes,
I see that we have some of the questions really interesting already. Uriol, we can give you a couple of seconds to read.
Yes, I'm reading right now. I also have some of the questions that we received by email earlier. So just a reminder, you can also, if you have already some of the questions that we're going to have, you can send up by email. So we'll answer some of them as people take the chance to do this kind of questions in advance. Is there a risk of price cannibalization and very frequent curtailment of renewables in the electricity system in the coming years, a system based primarily on renewables? So yes, as I mentioned, negative or very low prices due to price cannibalization, but also curtailment is something that I didn't mention, but it's also one of the issues that we are seeing right now. Although for most of the power plants is not as critical as it may seem. So if I remember, Red Electrica was telling us that curtailments in general for renewable energy plants were around 2%. So it's nothing critical. So for the amount of renewable energy that we have installed, 2% it's quite low. So it's not something critical. It's very critical for some of the plants because some of the curtailments always happen more or less on the same nodes. But in general, it's not a problem for the energy sector. But it's a consequence of having a lot of renewable energy while you have decreasing demand. So for the next years, well, if the revolution of the batteries is starting as we expect, if the demand is starting to increase, as we are seeing some signs this year, 2024, that the demand from the industry that was very reduced during the energy prices crisis is starting to recover. So if demand is starting to recover, battery capacity is starting to increase. Probably 2025 is still too early, so probably we will keep seeing those kind of low prices during 2025. Low prices during the spring is something quite common in Spain and other countries, so it's probably we will have low prices during the spring. But in general, more or less the situation could be similar in 2025, but probably 2026, 2027, we are going to see improving values. So less hours with very low prices, although low prices will always be there, but less hour with those very low prices. And I wouldn't say less curtailments, but I would say still low curtailment. So curtailments will always be there because they are usually.
Yeah, let's give a minute or two to recover. Yeah, we lost you there at the end, but
okay.
You were finished.
Basically, I was mentioning that curtailments per se will always be there because they are the result of very concrete situations in some of the nodes for some of the hours. But basically, if everything goes as expected, the increase in demand, the increase in storage capacity, we will not see curtailments getting worse. So at least getting at where they are right now. Okay.
Yeah, I can answer some.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead while I
Yes,
take a look.
we receive a lot of feedback from people interested in the online platform. And yeah, just a reminder that we can offer a free trial of the platform, so you can see what we are publishing there. You can see the data. You can play a little bit with the correlation between the variables. If there is any observatory that you need that is not present there, you can request it. We can include it free of charge, and we are at all times including new informations to the observatories already present there. So feel free to request a trial, and we can give you access for a 1 week period, so you can see what's already there.
Okay, so we have several questions about the revenues for the batteries, as we do for revenue forecasting for batteries and hybridized systems. How do you do it? What is the revenue stacking looks like? What will the future revenues from ancillary services be like? What returns are battery powered systems currently showing? So on how do we do? So basically the revenue stack for a battery system, being it hybridized with within a power plant or being it a standalone installation. Basically, the revenue stack comes with three large pieces. Let's say one is price arbitrage in the daily market, in the day-ahead market, and in the intraday market. The other are ancillary services, so several imbalance services depending on the market, although they are going to be at the global at the European level right now. And then you have capacity markets in some of the markets. Basically, basically what we do in order to get the revenue forecast from the price arbitrage section, we basically perform hourly price simulations at the long term. We do around 2,000 hourly price simulation. So we have 2,000 possible futures. So it means futures with high prices, low prices, futures with high volatility, futures with low volatility. So basically taking into account all possible futures. And then we put a battery to operate there. So basically, depending on what kind of battery is, depending on the capacity, on the duration, if it's standalone, if it's collocated, we put the battery to operate and basically charge during low prices and discharge during high prices. You can do this charging and discharging directly into the grid, or from the grid, or collocated with a solar power plant, so charging during solar hours and discharging in the peak, in the demand peak in the evening. If it's a wind power plant, so you can have different strategies. So basically, we put a battery to operate there, and basically we get all the possible revenues at the long term, and from there we can get statistics, the average per year, P90, P75, wherever is needed. So this is the main part, and then we have the ancillary services. Here we don't make forecasting at the long term because it really makes no sense. Ancillary services are a kind of a real-time market, so we do forecast these prices, these markets for the short term, so 24, 48 hours ahead. But and it's hard to do, so it's tough. But so doing it at the long term, it makes no sense. So basically, what we do is we put a battery in the system right now and see what kind of opportunities it has, and basically extrapolating how this battery or how these markets will evolve in time, and how they will evolve if we put more and more storage batteries capacity into this market. Basically, what we see is that these markets are really relatively small in most of the countries. They are, compared to the volume in the day-ahead markets, are very, very small markets. So really, if you put a megawatt of batteries there, you can get pretty good results because prices can be high. But as you start putting more and more storage capacity available in these markets, then the share of each megawatt it's going to be smaller and smaller. So basically, we see quite high revenues from these ancillary services for the next 3-5 years, but then they are going to be quite marginal in the overall revenue because, as I said, when you start having a lot of available storage capacity in these markets, it's going to be very small room for new capacity and for high prices. So basically, we saw that at the long term, the main chunk of the revenues are going to be from price arbitrage, and then ancillary services can be a complement. Also, depending on how much effort you want to put, because to operate a battery in ancillary service is something that needs kind of a very active management. So depending on the effort that you want to put, you can get more or less, but the big chunk is going to be from price arbitrage. And then you have the capacity markets. That depends on the market. In the Spanish market right now, we are expecting for a capacity market to enter in operation. They are saying next year, maybe probably the first auctions are going to be next year. That's what we expect. And we see that this revenue from the capacity market is the piece that the batteries read right now in order to have an acceptable return. So, but obviously we don't know the price level. We don't know the rating that will be applied to batteries. So it's kind of very uncertain. So what we provide are scenarios. So if the rating is such, higher or lower, if the outcoming price is higher or lower. So we give 2 or 3 scenarios, so you have an idea of how much or what the range can be for the revenues coming from these markets. And what are the returns that we are seeing right now? Well, for this, I can direct you to the webinar that we had in October with Deloitte, And there, Deloitte show interesting studies and analysis on the return of the battery, depending on a lot of factors, depending on the price spread, depending on the capacity, depending on the capex. But what we saw in that tables were that we are starting to see interesting returns for batteries. So that's another reason that we are seeing this time as a turning point, because batteries are getting cheap enough, and the market is in such a condition that we are starting to get reasonable returns for batteries. So, and as they are needed for the electricity system to work, they are needed for the renewable projects to regain some of the returns that they lost due to the low prices. That's one of the points that we are seeing, that why we are seeing batteries are going to be one of the key points for the next 5 years. And I don't know.
That was a really great answer, and I think it covers most of the answers we have.
Yeah, because most of
So yeah, we will answer the remaining questions directly by email. So that concludes the webinar today. And as Oriol mentioned, I invite you all to our webinar in January. We will be sharing again with speakers from PricewaterhouseCoopers. Really interesting the webinars that we share with them. And thank you again, Oriol, for your presentation and the audience for joining. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Goodbye.